Arguably the best looking 911 ever. Yeah, it's certainly up there. I can't believe I've actually got my hands on one. The 911 930 Turbo, or shall I call it the OG Widowmaker. Welcome to another episode of Living Legends, and we're going to go for a drive. Welcome to Driven Plus, and I'm Max Saftavani. The first ever 911 with a turbo, the 930 or the 930 generation. I can't believe I'm physically driving one. I must admit, this is pretty special. But the 930 generation 911 was in production for quite a while, 1973 all the way through to 1988, 15 years worth of production. But this is a 1988 model 911, one of the very last 930 generation, and there was a couple of different models that they produced. The first one was with a 3-litre flat 6 engine producing 260 horsepower, and you had this one, 3.3 litre with 300 horsepower. Now both models actually came with a 4-speed manual gearbox, same as this one, whereas the G50, which is same with a 3.3, that also came with a 5-speed manual gearbox, and this is one of the last ones with a 4-speed. And I must admit, it's very clunky to work with. This is actually the first car with 4 gears that I've ever driven. But actually, there was a visual difference between the two cars, one with the 3-litre and the 3.3. The 3-litre didn't have an intercooler, and therefore it had something called a whale tail spoiler. And the 3.3-litre, this one, had something called a T-tray. And if you ask me, I personally think the whale tail looked better. Both great looking cars anyway. The engine is a turbocharged 3.3 litre flat 6 producing 300 horsepower and 430 Nm torque. And by all means, in today's world, it's no slouch. You have to physically drive it, take the gearbox and listen to that go. It goes really well. That's really fast. It does creep up on you. Power sent to all the rear wheels, by the way. Now the weight of this thing actually did surprise me. 1,335 kilos. Now for a sports car in the 1980s, it's pretty heavy. I mean, it's light in today's standards, but that stat did actually shock me a bit. And worryingly, all of that weight is right at the back of the car. Yeah. So we're sitting at 2,000 RPM, and nothing really happens if I put my foot down. Let it build up, give it a second, 3,500 revs. Whoa! It all happens all at once. This thing builds up momentum really quickly, and I have confidence in the brakes as well. They're 4-pot piston calipers all round, so I'm happy with them. No ABS though, so I do have to be careful, Max. And this thing can be quite dangerous in a corner as well. We'll come on to that very soon. But just look how beautiful this 911 Turbo is. A poster car for many. And even when we put it side by side against a modern day sports car, that of an Alpine A110, believe it or not, the 911 Turbo is bigger in every dimension. Bigger engine, it's got more power, and it's 300 kilos heavier. Quite surprising. But although the A110 is a beautiful looking car, you just cannot help lay your eyes on this. An icon, and just look at its hips. Absolutely gorgeous. Shakira. The date on the tax discs reads the 1st of August 1988, which meant this car was one of the last 4 speeds ever produced with the 915 gearbox. And in September 1988 came the G50 gearbox, the 5-speed manual. Now this is a rear engine layout Porsche 911 like they all are, so it means obviously all your boot space goes in the front. And let's have a look how much space the 1980s gave you. There we are, 200 litres of boot space. Plus you've got the rear seats as well, it's a 4-seater car. Believe it or not, the 992 generation 911 comes with 132 litres. So yeah, we're being fooled, you know. Modern day cars, you get less space than the older cars. When Porsche unveiled the Turbo in 1974, it was the fastest car of its generation, the fastest Porsche to ever be produced. And it was a homologation car. Porsche planned to build 500 units to go racing. But I absolutely love them. It's absolutely class to drive. It drives mint. It really does drive good. And if I was to pick a year, if I had a time machine to go back to whatever year and to drive this car, the year would be 1988 in Miami with a flowered shirt on, and I'll let you pick the music, so let me know your thoughts on that music in the comments below. Coming to the inside of the 930 Turbo, what a special place to be, and you just sit focused. Everything is old school, which I love about it, starting with the wing mirror switch here. So this is to operate the right one, so you can move it up and down, but to switch it to move it to the left one, it's some switches down here. They're not even labelled. I don't even know which one to press. But the interior is called Sonderwunsch, which translates from German to English meaning special wishes. Nowadays we call that Porsche exclusive, but as you can see, you've got this lovely handmade gear knob thing, which is made in Moldova with the Porsche 911 embossed there. That's really nice. Momo steering wheel, so you really do feel focused. And you got something called PCCM, which is something Porsche do to the older generation Porsche 911s. So this car actually has Apple CarPlay, which you'll see right now. And you also get this Porsche Hewitt 1970s clock there. It's all very, very special. And you actually get air conditioning, which was an optional extra. And you also have a sunroof here, finished off in this lovely leather. But to operate the sunroof, as again, it's one of these switches down here, which I don't even know which one it is. So you'll have to kind of press which one, and whenever you get the right one, you're all good to go. So what a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Now I think this is the best looking part about the Porsche 930 Turbo. 245 width tyres on 16-inch alloy wheels, but just look at the hips and look at the side exit there. It's all very nice, and I like the number plate too. Now I want to show you the engine. So you have to open the door here. There's a little hatch which you have to do that, and then what you have to do is put the wiper up, because if you leave it down it's going to catch up on there. And as you come around here, then you lift it up. Look at that. There's the air conditioning unit, and this is what the 930 Turbo sounds like. Oh, please do it once more. Wow. Yeah, that phrase, widowmaker, which translates from German to English for widow maker. Yeah, this thing will actually want to kill you, and it got its nickname from the way it drove, its handling characteristics. Firstly, I have no traction control or ABS, but when the 930 Turbo came out, turbos in cars were very rare, and therefore there was a less understanding of how they worked. And what I mean by that is people who drove them, it was a new experience, and therefore also it was for people who was developing the engine. It was kind of, it's like a tap, it's kind of all or nothing. No power, and then suddenly a massive boost of power. And it was the way it delivered the power, turbo lag. It was uncertain when the turbo would kick in, and obviously when it did, it would just unleash monstrous load of power. I mean, in a straight line here, put my foot down. Yeah, it's all or nothing. Straight line is fine, it grips, you can predict it. But imagine applying throttle mid-corner. All of a sudden, you'd get this massive load of power going to the rear wheels, you'd spin out, and you'd be stopped by the next object that you're going to go into. Therefore, widowmaker, you'd die. So it took skill to know how to drive one, and you had to gently apply throttle going into a corner. And does it scare me? A little bit. You just got to know how to drive these things. But it just shows the development of turbo engines nowadays. It's all about smooth delivery power, but this literally is all or nothing. As you hear, no powered steering, so the feel of the car is superb. I'd like to thank you for watching my video on the 930 911 Turbo today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Massive thanks to Nosh for lending his beautiful 911 for the second time. And, well, let's say we have an Italian supercar coming soon from the Nosh collection. I'm going to call it the Nosh collection. He'll like that. Anyway, guys, leave a like and press that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Have a good day. Cheers.